We good now? There we go. All right, we're live. It's the last week of the videos. Next week is when everything is due. So if you guys can just get me an email with everything that's due so far. If you have any problems, let me know. Send me an email. I think that's about it. I'm just going to jump right back in. Last week, we got our system working. Sorry, I'm doing an update in the background, so my computer might be a little slow here. Anyway, we got Shinken working, and we got we almost got graphs working, but I just, for some reason, it was fighting me. That's the nature of this thing. Anytime you're dealing with computers, sometimes things fight you, and you just got to deal with it. And it didn't work out the way I had expected it to, but that's okay. We'll get it working tonight and then add some more statistics to graph, and that'll be it. If you guys get that done, that's the final project. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and make sure that the system or the services are running. So I'm going to do system CTL status of Shinken-star because it's not running. That's cool. Start Shinken. Oh man, that update is really killing me. It's almost close to being done. I'll leave that over there. Arbiter. Scheduler. Broker. Forgetting some here. Come on. There we go. Polar. Forgot that one. I don't know why this thing's being so slow. Polar and then React Tuner. And the last one is the receiver. They don't necessarily have to be started in this order. Honestly, just can't spell. I just started them in the order I could remember them. So they're all started now. Let's look and see if we can get... Oh, we won't be able to yet, especially not with it being that slow. We're going to do a tail-f of bar log Shinken broker D log. Actually, it looks like it is working now. Let's pop over here to Firefox. Go to localhost 7767 and log in. All right, one host up. That's good. Yeah, I couldn't find any problems. Oh. It says it's down. Oh, can't connect to port 22. So if you have this problem and it says it's down, that's okay. The reason it can't connect to port 22 is because port 22 is not up. I need to go over here, Control C, and do a system CTL start SSHD. SSH is what runs on port 22. And let's see if this thing still hates me. Weird. Wonder why that is. Should work. On this left-hand side, there should be a little button here that says recheck now. That just reruns the polar to see if the host is up. Unfortunately, I think we put that at a high frequency. I think it was every minute or 30 seconds. Anyway, yeah, every minute. So it's up, and that's good. Let's see if graphs work. I doubt it. Yep. So we also want to check to see. Actually, graphing might. System CTL status of carbon cache. It's not running, so we're going to start it. Also start carbon aggregate. Okay, it looks like it's running. And you guys can remember from last week. Yeah, so Graphite is running on port 82. Come on. Killing it. I expected it to go so nice and soon. For started, you know, this is the nice and slow. Anyway, we have Graphite over here. Now, what this works under the metrics, which is see chicken. Maybe it is working. We'll host chicken. With that, looks like we got some. We might actually have some graph data in there. Sweet. So let's refresh this. So maybe I don't know what I was doing last week. I didn't change my system. Yeah. I'm actually going to open up this image. What we want to see is that it's actually trying to go right there. It's the same division by 0. Yeah, not enough data points. Let's see if we can go to services on this. So this is where you see the services attached to this host. This is a host. And if this thing actually relatively responsive, it would be a little easier. Maybe my computer's just melted down. I don't know. Okay, so I want to go to this is the host, little host. It's got one service, root partition. Root partition is where it checks my local disk to see just some statistics. So I click on the service to see the details for that. And last check was 3 minutes 11 seconds ago. Next active check is in a minute and a half. I really wish I could check manually. Let's say perhaps because I've got a sneaking hunch it should display. It's hard to tell if this is in out. Yeah, it looks okay. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I really. By the time I got to a point where I could cancel my update, where I couldn't cancel my update, then I realized I needed to cancel it, so it was too late by the time I got to that point. Yeah, this should be this root partition. Huh. Let's see, when is it scheduled to be rechecked? Now it says it's got 2 now. Let's see if I can change. Let's try that. 3 weeks. Yeah, nothing in there. Okay. Well, let's go back here. Let's edit our config file for our service to get it to pull faster, because I don't really want to wait 5 minutes. I mean, we could spend this entire hour or even 2 just waiting on this thing to pull. So I'm going to try to set it at 30 seconds if I can, if not 1 minute. We'll look at etc. Shinken. It is services, Linux disks.configuration. It's using local service. Local service is the template, and it even says their name of service template to use. I don't really care about the rest of that. I just want to look at that template. So we go to templates and local. Oh, templates config. Local service right here. It itself uses a template called generic service. And in generic service, we are going to say check interval. This is 5 minutes. We're going to set it to 1. That should work. Shinken. Oh, not service. Sorry. Too used to CentOS. System CTL restart Shinken broker. I don't really want to do the broker. I wanted to do the polar. Well, that's okay. So let's look at our log again, tail-f, our log Shinken broker D, so we can see what's going on with it. Huh. Okay, well, it looks like my system's done updating. That's good. Still a little laggy. Probably updated something that now can't load from file. There's a reason why they implemented a offline update on this, because people like me can break things. All right, looks like it's running again. Let's look at our services. I don't want to look at problems. All right, I'm just going to see all services. And I'm going to click on root partition again. So its next check is about 30 seconds. And I wish I could get that to pull faster. Well, that's okay. We're going to check. We're going to check our Polar log and just see what it's doing. Nothing. Just for giggles, I'm going to actually try to tail all these logs. Let's use an asterisk there. Now I can see anytime something happens with Shinken, I should be able to see it. That's good. Let's see about this. It was the scheduler I needed to restart, wasn't it? Control C, system, CTL, restart, Shinken, scheduler. Sometimes these logs are pretty funny. It's saying Graphite 2 is still alive, normal kill. I help it to die. Why? What did I do to you? I didn't restart the broker. I started the scheduler. Huh. Okay. Apparently that caused the broker to go weird too. Let's go back to here. Now, if this starts working, what you'll see is instead of just being blank, you'll start seeing dots on this graph. Now, I don't know if it's just my screen is dirty, but I don't see any dots. Actually, no, look. That may be some right there. Let's go to the past 15 minutes. Look at that. We do. We have data right there, there, and there. If we go to our graph options, we should be able to change it to line mode and connected line. So there we go. 3 different data points and in between them. Now, this isn't very useful because we've only got 3 data points here, but it shows that we are getting data at least to Graphite. That's a good thing. Oh, no. There we go. I was about to kill the broker because this wasn't working yet. So I refresh this. It still hates me. Shinken.io. I want to see if there's a new plugin for the web interface. This Web UI 2. Last updated 1 week ago. I think that was what we did. Okay. All that is quite neat. Actually, we should be able to see here if we click on that, it's saying Shinken Web UI 241, and this is 241. Okay. Well, poo. That's okay. Let's look. Yeah, I don't think that's worthwhile. Okay, that's fine. Apparently, I can't force it. There is a way to do it, but it's okay. We'll just wait for this to populate some data. It's about a minute. So while that's doing that, we know at least we're getting data into Graphite, and that's really good. So what I'd like to do is check the broker handles. It looks like the well, not the broker. There's a module that handles the UI, the web UI, and I'm wondering if there's something wrong with it. Maybe it's trying to look at something that's wrong. And if I recall correctly, that's in etc. Shinken modules and Graphite 2 configuration. It says data source Shinken. Yeah, that should be right. So Graphite data source is Shinken. And now if we edit the UI dash Graphite 2, you'll see the Graphite data source is also Shinken. So that should be good, like it was last week. Crossing fingers there. What I'm going to do right now is, because I hate forgetting how to restart all of the Shinken services one by one, I'm going to write a script to restart them, because during this time where I'm going to be, adding in stuff to Shinken, I may need to restart this service several times. And so it might be easier if, instead of going, systemctl restart Shinken Polar, whatever, just restart them all in succession. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a history first. I'm going to grep for Shinken, and it looks like they're all right there. I'm just going to copy this, and now I'm going to do vim, and I'm just going to call it restart Shinken.sh. The new file, I'm going to hit insert, and I'm going to paste that, and I'm just going to delete all this nonsense. Bash files are awesome. I don't know that I've really talked about them a whole lot, but this is a way to automate tasks. And these are just commands that I would normally run. And Bash is, treats them just like, I can basically run all these commands all at once. And I don't need this one, so I'm going to delete it. dd to delete. And I'm going to put up here the magic that should make it work. It's called a hashbang bin bash. That should work. Now, if I do a chmod plus x to give it execute right, because if you remember back to when we did permissions in Linux, to get a script or something to run, you need to get it set with the execute bit. And that's in the 3 bits, there's read, write, execute. Execute's the last one. We could either do a chmod plus x or do a chmod 755. In this case, I'm just going to do a chmod plus x. This will add the execute bit and restart Shinken. And so now I can just do a / not caps, restart Shinken. Although I don't know why I really wanted to do that right then, especially since it just got backed up. Well, I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about that, getting that working. but that's all right. So 24 hours and 24 minutes. And, there's all sorts of things: area mode, line mode, connected line. Actually, no area. There we go. So as Shinken runs, that'll actually update. But this is Graphite. I don't want it to show up just in Graphite. I want it to show up in our actually monitoring dashboard there. So now I've got a script that does that. Now I can actually go back here, see if this is running. Looks like schedulers are working. Holders are working. Broker appears to actually be back up and running. Let's refresh this. Okay, now let's look at graphs. And it still hates me. View image. Now, I'm going to take this because if you guys can tell what's going on here, I'm going to open up something like gedit. Something graphical I can work with. So what they're doing here is generating a URL, and actually I'm going to copy this in here and go over here. Actually, I'm going to go to a new tab and paste that in there. Apparently it doesn't do all of that. No data. Anyway, these percents are in here are escape codes. So let me look at view image. Look at that. So if you guys can see in here, there's a space in this name. And here they represent the space with an underscore. But if you look at this carefully, let's see if we can go back over here to this. It has, oh, that's right. Those without saving. Well, interesting. Time to go to Google. Google, let's see. Shinken graphite. Very simple. To see what they look like, they should look like something like this after it's working for a while. Something a little bit like this. But got graphite working. Okay, well, that wasn't very helpful. Sometimes documentation doesn't help very much. Anyway, so this is what it should look like. That should actually show up instead of just this broken image link. It should show up as a it should show up as an actual image that looks a little bit like this. I'll leave that a mystery for at least right now. I'd like to move on at least a little bit to get other services being monitored, because right now we have one host and one service, and that's about it. Well, that is it. So I wanted to go back to Shinken.io to see some of the modules that can be used. Let's look at packs, because packs are actually monitoring packs. We can look at Linux SNMP. Let's actually do that really quick. See, Shinken install Linux-SNMP. We'll let that do its thing for a minute. And we'll look at a couple other things. So if you have Windows systems, you can actually check Windows systems with this. You can check all sorts of stuff. Let's look at SSH, DNS, NetApp, SMTP, MTP. These are all services that you'd run on any size network, even not MySQL, MS SQL. And these are really handy to have on even a relatively small network. So now we've got that pack installed. Now we need to go and use it. Now this is the biggest problem with any system based on Nagios, Shinken, Isinga, I don't know how to pronounce it. Any system built on that is going to have this problem where you have to do some really complicated configuration work, and it's annoying. But what we can do here is let's look at how one service is already set up. Let's look at etc. Shinken hosts, and services generally aren't configured on the host, but I just wanted to show this is a host that we have, and this is the configuration. If I wanted to create another host, I would just copy this into a new file called whatever that host name was. Similarly, services, Linux disks configuration. Now it says define service, use local service, and then it ties it to a host, local host, and the service description is check partition. It has a check command called check local disk, and the icon set is disk. So that's cool. Now I'm going to look at the packs, etc. Shinken, packs, Linux SNMP, and let's just look at the template for this. So right here is where it sets all this stuff up. Now, this is important. We need SNMP installed. I don't have SNMP installed, so this isn't very useful for us. But if we wanted to, this on its own, a pack is really cool because instead of setting up those services manually, like this, where I create a new service for each type of service I'd like to monitor, packs are useful because let's say you have a single service, let's say you run a farm of web servers, and on 15 web servers, you want to check to see if the web service is running on all those servers. So instead of writing 15 service files, what you could do is write a template or a pack, which a pack is basically a template pack. It's a set of templates that you can use to check for a specific thing. That way, you might have more files going into a pack, but if I had 150 systems, I might need 15 files to set up a pack, whereas with 150 web servers, all running web, I would need 150 files or one file with lots of lines, duplicate lines of each one of those configurations. So packs make it so easy, And to use it, we'll go to our host, localhost, and right here where it says use, we could just as easily do Linux server and then Linux -snmp. And now we'll use our handy script we wrote, restart Shinken. And this is just to show you how to use a pack. Now, you could just as easily go out and write all these service files yourself. It's incredibly boring, and I think to a certain extent a waste of time. Doing hosts is kind of mandatory because you have to know which host you're doing, and one file per host with a description of which packs or templates that it uses is kind of handy. And the reason why these packs exist are for that very reason. So you can do, you could monitor an entire ecosystem without having to create a ton of extra work for yourself. Because on each one of those systems, you have to create a host file and then a service file. I mean, I guess you could do it both together, but it would still be 150 different files with, maybe an extra 15 lines each. So 150 times 15 is a lot. I don't even know, but it's a lot. I'm not good at math in my head. That's what I have computers for. We're going to tail this, see if broker, it actually looks like it maybe it did. Broker master does say it's running on 7767. Something tells me that doesn't work. That script didn't work. I'm going to background that and then, or pause it and then background it. And I'm going to do my, that didn't work. My script failed. No. Why is that? Vim restart. I need to I need to do something funky with no. Should work. Just to be sure. Yeah, when I do that manually, it runs. Well, that's quite peculiar. All right, FG can kill that. Well, why is that doing that? It looks like it's working. Oh, that's because it's just start. I need restart. That's better. It takes a lot longer when it's actually working. Still collecting data. That's good to see. Okay, now that's working. Let's see. It should be. Oops, nope, don't need to know about a Peltier device. Okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. So now we have 8 services, and that was just by using that pack. Just putting that one thing in there now gives me all of this stuff. So I have host, localhost, and then all of these services. Now, most of these are going to fail pretty badly. And the reason is I don't have SNMP installed, and I definitely don't have it configured correctly. I got some time, so let's do it. I'm going to do a DNF search SNMP because I don't remember. I think it's it is net-SNMP. So do a DNF install, yes, to net, or not to, net-SNMP. And SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol. It is a standard, although honestly terrible standard, for collecting metrics from network devices. It's surprising, actually, what SNMP statistics can gather. Once you have it installed, you can access a lot of different information about systems, and makes it really easy to collect information from network systems. But that's also that's a blessing in that you can get that data, but it's also a curse in that attackers can also get that data. And speaking from experience, the more information you know about somebody or some system, the better you can attack that system. So I don't recommend at all using SNMP v2 in any production sense. Use SNMP version 3. It has some sort of authentication built in, whereas SNMP v2 does not. But for the sake of what we're doing, SNMP v2 works great. But if you're in a production system, don't use it. It is a security risk. There is a way to minimize that risk if you absolutely have to use SNMP v2. I'll leave that to your own research. But it is very insecure because you can basically transmit all sorts of system information unencrypted over the wire, so anyone could listen and collect that same information. And SNMP also has a function where you can send commands and send configuration too. So it's not just reading, it's writing configuration too. Anyway, let me see if I can just start it. System CTL start net-SNMP. Oh, I don't think so. SNMP. What is SNMPD? Oh, why are you being so slow, you dumb thing? Start SNMPD. All right, it's running. Let's see. Refresh. All of these have failed. No surprise. $20 seconds for that to. Now, if you see this root partition, the one that was working is still working. Still doesn't like the graph, but that's okay. We can figure that out. I'm sure it's a configuration problem. Still doesn't like me. Well, let's see why. Let's look at our configuration for SNMP. So by default, net SNMP actually is relatively secure. It doesn't let me see a lot of the things that I want to see. I actually want to grant this line. I want to grant access. Oops. Access. Not config group everything. Also do that. And what I'm doing is basically allowing, I'm just uncommenting these things to allow the public community string to be read by any host. And I know this is insecure. Please do not use this in a production environment. Okay, that should actually maybe work. Let's see. Restart and make sure it's working. It is. SNMP, let's see if we can do an SNMP walk. Version v2c, and community is public, and 127.0.0.1. Okay, so that worked. That command basically said, hey, go through all of the available SNMP objects and walk through them with a community public string. And I believe Shinken is set up for that, but let's check it. So vim, etc. Shinken. Actually, I don't know which config file. Well, maybe it's in this one. Vim, etc. Shinken. Shinken.config. It's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to grep for SNMP in etc. Shinken, and then just do recursive on that. It's the capital R. So there's that. Polar Master, SNMP booster. Use Linux SNMP hostname XNMP. Because it's capital. You see this host SNMP community? Let's look for, instead of lowercase SNMP, let's look for uppercase SNMP. Much better. So, SNMP community read, which is defined in commands, templates. Huh. Weird. I might have to set it manually. That's okay. Let's go back to our configuration, vim, etc. Shinken hosts localhost. I'm just going to go ahead and put it right here. and use my restart script that now does work. While that's going on, I would like to take a look at my configuration again. Like Control Z and BG that, so that can run while I look at our Vim, etc. Jenkins modules, UI, Graphite 2. Let's look at Graphite. This one is definitely working, this Graphite 2, because it's showing up in Graphite, and that's a good thing. So, very strange. So we got this Graphite data source, dashboard front end height with font width height. First check, optionally extra metrics, blah, blah, blah. Just for giggles, I know we had changed this last time, but I'm just gonna see if this is up again. It was 2 seconds ago. Ah, look at that. Localhost. So we're getting a different problem. And this, oh no, wait, what? Oh, there we go. Let's look at, oh, see this how it says no such file or directory? That is probably because, not that we didn't have SNMP not working, but because the command that's used to check SNMP is not working. So let's look at, I'm going to tail the log again to see if it gives us a more detailed reason. No such file or directory. Okay, so right there it says, failed launching that command, no such file or directory. Okay, so that's not a good thing, but I think we might have that installed. So I might just have to configure it to point to the right thing. So I'm going to do a locate of check snmp mem.pl. Maybe I don't have it. DNF provides // check snmp mem.pl. So what this does is it checks our package repository, and it says, well, which package provides this file? Now, there's actually, this isn't the best way to do it. It's kind of a dirty hack to make that work. Well, that's not good. Just do locate check SNMP. Ah. Instead of Perl, let's just look for check SNMP mem. Oh, no, sorry. DNF provides check SNMP. But this is not exactly the way you do it, or you're supposed to do it. It is a dirty hack that works. I actually need to educate myself on the correct way to do it, because all I know is it's not the right way, and I haven't cared enough. So Nagios plugins SNMP. So let's just do a DNF search for Nagios plugins, SNMP. Let's see if there's any extra stuff in there. Disk proc. Well, I doubt it'll help much, but actually I think it's probably already installed. But in case it isn't, we'll install it. Yep. Nothing to do, complete. Okay. Well, memory might be weird, but let's go back to here. We can at least check disks, right? And when we did a locate check SNMP, we see there's a lib64 Nagios plugins check SNMP. So let's grep for check SNMP and etc. Shinken and do another recursive. And right there, load storage, load mem. Okay. I don't have any of that. Let's see if there's an alternative way. Let's just see what we can get out of this. H 127.0.0.1. We're just running this command manually to see what we can get. -C public and P2C. Oh. Well, I don't want that because that's lame. So let's do disk. Host is 127.0.0.1 and C is public. No disks found. Well, that's mildly lame. Let's look at our configuration again for SNMP. Here, vim, etc. SNMP, snmpd.conf. Running up almost on time. Tells me lots of what to do to check things. Not so much how to source. Oh, I need to do this too, don't I? Restart. SNMPD. Oh, that did not work. Set level no off. Set model. Oh. See, I'm not paying attention well enough. So read-only view is right here. The view read-only view should include everything. So let's see if that should work. Oh. I feel like I'm missing something still. Oh. I was in the wrong part of the file. Let's just make this, really? Okay, not config user default public, not config group v1, not config user, not config user. System view included .1. Read system view. I'm just gonna get rid of this since I uncommented out what I wanted down below. Restart the service and still doesn't like me. But why? I delete. Actually, I don't really care about this line. And delete. Okay, let's try this. I should have SNMP walk in here somewhere. Well, that looks better. There's a lot more data at least, and that's a good thing. And it's quite possible it just does not like me. No disks found. Okay. Well, you know what? Sometimes it doesn't always work the way we want it to. It doesn't really matter because well, we might just have to leave it at that. I would like to get something running and maybe a graph at least. Bloody hell. Well, the good news is if you do this project and you don't get the graphs working, I won't ding you for it. And you don't get anything else working. If you can just show me this right here, showing all of these services working on a single host or even multiple hosts, go for it. I know this is relatively complicated, and I'm trying to fly through this as fast as possible so I can actually show this working. I'm a little disappointed it's not working. At least not as well as I had hoped. You know, when we use localhost 82, when we use Graphite to graph it, it does show up here. You know, we have metrics, we have localhost, we have Shinken, we have root partition, and we can see, and now we've got enough data to where if we do these connected lines like this, you can see it's actually producing some kind of interesting results. Let's do past 75 minutes. So, it's actually got something in there, it's of some interest. Now, this isn't aggregating them in terms of gigabytes, but this is the number of, I'm assuming, megabytes on my system. No, I don't know what that is. Really don't. Something. Well, anyway, that's what I have. I hope you guys have had fun. This is a little frustrating for me because I've done this before and it went so smoothly. I guess I should... What? Okay. That's my used. Okay. Well, apparently right there, the graph wants to work. page info. I want to see if that's generated by huh. Weird. But that definitely is what I want to see. Well, I don't know why it's not working, but it's okay. That's it. I hope you had fun, guys. I'm going to leave this just kind of unfinished. I'm sorry that I'm doing that. If I do get some time, I will try to finish this and at least post a video. Not maybe related to the class, even just getting it working. I may go back and just redo this whole thing if I'm going to do a video and maybe a little more step by step. I do some of these kind of off the cuff because it's one thing to see it all happen in the right sequential order. It's completely another to be in front of a computer and not really have a lot of resources and not ever having done things and then try to make them work. And for me personally, I'm not scared when something doesn't work. I just go figure it out and make it work. Unfortunately, tonight that didn't happen. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but that's the way it works sometimes. And I'm not going to fault anybody for not being able to do what I can't do. But at least if you get, to this point, it's something that I think, may not have a lot of initial value. But if you're in if you have a job now, or if you want to get a job, monitoring systems are incredibly important. And as much flack as Nagios and Shinken and all these monitoring systems take because they're so complicated, and they are. If anything, this shows how complicated and frustrating they can be. But if anything, it also shows how important they are to be set up correctly. And it does take a little bit of knowledge, and obviously knowledge that I've lost, to get these set up right. So I hope the takeaway is that, this stuff isn't really scary. It may not work exactly the way you want it to, but there are plenty of resources. There's Google, there's man pages, there's help pages. In the real world, going through school, it's easy to get bogged down with, I've got to remember it for the test. And I've got to remember what I'm doing for the test. And honestly, it's the big picture concepts that in the real world get you along, because everything else you can look up. The internet is a great tool, and in the real world, people don't care if you use the internet to cheat, because the internet, really all they really care about is getting the job done right. And if you know the big picture concepts and know those big picture things, getting the small little technical stuff is relatively easy, because so many people have done it, they've written about it, and they've written all the steps to do it exactly the right way. And also, there is a certain amount of, you kind of have to know how to troubleshoot things and how to work through problems. And problems are actually good for us as people, because it helps us grow, challenges us to new, bigger, better things. So that's it for this year. I hope everyone's had fun. I've been really busy, so I probably haven't had as much fun. I've not had as much time to put into this as I have in years past. So, overall, I'm a little flustered, I guess, a little bit because of all of that. But I'm glad for each and every one of you who've stuck with it and been able to do everything. I hope that it wasn't, either too easy or too hard. I know some of this stuff is fairly dense, and why would you want to do that? But in a network, in an environment where you're managing a network, it's so important, because you get to find out problems before anybody else. You get to troubleshoot things and get things working on a system that's free. And a lot of businesses, especially these days, free is a pretty good price point for things. So that's all I have. It's been a good year. And I will hopefully, I'm planning on maybe even doing a few videos over the summer. Next semester, I don't know if I'm teaching anything. I probably won't be if history serves itself. But keep connected with my channel. I may produce some more videos, tutorials. I've been playing around with some Arduinos and playing around with Python. And I'd love to just kind of share my knowledge. I don't know everything, but I have more knowledge than some people. So if I can share something and educate people, then it's a good thing. And so that's all I have. We'll see you guys next year.